Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Before we get into today's subject matter, which happens to be about a ex-Muslim turned Christian revealing his thoughts about the religion of Islam. Spoiler alert, he doesn't like it at all. The reason why he left the religion of Islam in the first place was because of a number of things, but one very, very important thing is the religion of Islam promotes and Muhammad condones a particular slavery. Yeah. That's what Muhammad condones. And even Muhammad himself decided to marry a 6-year-old and then consummate the marriage at the age of 9, meaning that he R-worded a child. So it's PDF file material. We've spoken about that a number of times. But if you've got a prophet within your religion that condones that and then condones sex slavery out along with everything else that he's condoned as well, I've got a huge problem with that kind of religion because Jesus did no such thing and he condones no such thing and he condemns that kind of stuff. So we'll get into the video in just a moment. But before we do, I want to let you all know of the Woke Dingbats t-shirts. You guys asked for them. I made them available. I'm not making any money from these. Okay. Just so you know, these shirts, not this one, but the ones you guys are going to be receiving cost $35 to make, plus postage that is sent out to me, which then I need to send out to you guys individually, which means that I'm spending my own money to pay for postage for you guys to receive these shirts. And that's not just me to say that. I am forking out my own money for you guys to receive these shirts. It's not for me to go, oh, woe is me. Jay's making money. He's doing this to make money. No, if I was doing all this to make money, guaranteed I would rip you off. I really would. I would keep the price of the shirts about $50 to $60, leave them at that, wouldn't care less. I'm not doing this for money. It's the reason why I brought it down to $40. So at least I'm not using a great deal of my own cash to fund or send the shirts to you guys. I want you guys to have them because I really love the shirts and you guys love them too. More than that, if I was doing this for money, I would stop talking about God because my views, if you haven't noticed, go considerably down and so do my subscribers. I do not care. I will continue to speak about my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I don't care what anyone says. If you don't want to subscribe, by all means, I will continue to do what I know to be right. That all being said, I hope that you guys will get your own t-shirt because I don't care how many people get a shirt. I want you guys to have it. I hope that a lot of you decide to get a shirt because they are bloody awesome. Yes, I do ship internationally as well, which means extra money on my behalf for you guys. I don't care. I want you guys to have it. So please, if you are in another country, order a shirt. Simple as that. Link is available in the show description. All right. With that all being said and that out of the way, let's dive into the subject of the day with an ex-Muslim talking about how he ended up becoming a Christian. He looked at the Quran, he looked at the Hadith, and he figured something that's very, very important, that Muhammad condones slavery. Have a watch.
Took me a week to leave Islam. I opened up the Hadith on a Monday. Just to give some clarification, the Quran is the direct word of God, and then the Hadith are the teachings of Muhammad. There are Muslims that only believe in the Quran. They're a huge minority, and they're relatively peaceful. When it comes to the Hadith, it's pretty bad. I opened up the Hadith on a Monday, and I didn't have to use a translation. I spoke fluent Arabic. Side note, never trust an English version of the Quran or the Hadith. And there's this verse in the Quran. This was the first hint, and it says, وَإِنَّ عَلَى أَزْوَاجِهِمْ وَمَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُكُمْ. What's permissible for you is your wives and what your right hand possesses. Now, in English, they try to change a little bit. In English, they try to say that like it's not saying what it's saying, but I know Arabic.
So what's it saying?
Right hand possession is a saying in Arabic meaning slaves. There's something called Asbab al-Nuzul in the Hadith, which means the reasons for this verse being like revealed by God. And the story goes, Muhammad and his army, they surround this village, and the village surrenders, and it's a time of war. And they asked him, like, what do we do about the wives and the women in the village who their husbands are dead from the war? And we actually don't want to have sex with them. We don't want to take them as wives. Muhammad said that it is permissible to take them as wives against their will. And as soon as I read that, I knew what I was going to say because I know the saying. But as soon as I read the clarification of the verse, I was like, So you're assaulting women. I can't say the word for censorship. Taking someone against their will, that's terrible.
When you said you looked at the interpretation of it, what does that mean?
There's a few commentators that they're called tafsir, which just means commentators. And the most famous one is Ibn Kathir, by far the most popular, like in the entire Muslim world. And he is probably the most accurate too. He explains this is what was happening. And he knows because he's getting from accounts of people who were in the battle and saying this is what Muhammad said to do in the battle. And my first instinct was almost to throw up.
So there's a couple of things that I want to point out that he made reference to within the first couple of seconds of the video. So this ex-Muslim talks about, so you have the Quran, which is supposedly Allah's direct words, and then the Hadith, which is Muhammad's words. Now, he said you can't trust the English version of the Quran. Gee, I wonder why that is. And same with the Hadith. So you've got to go to the original language if you can, right? If you don't understand the original language, it makes things a little bit more tricky for you. But he understands the original language. And it took him a week to leave the religion of Islam. That is important, okay? So if you are on a journey or a quest, I guess, and you are starting to question the religion of Islam, it took you a week of searching out the Quran and searching what the Prophet Muhammad said in the Hadith, right? For you to go, I don't like what Muhammad has said in the Hadith, and I especially don't like what the Quran has said, because there's things in the Quran that don't match up at all with how God is supposed to operate, meaning you should kill Christians and Jews. Does that sound like something that God would say? Or does it sound more like something that Satan would say or a demon would say? I'm leaning more on the latter than the former, to be honest with you, because if I'm looking and I'm comparing the Bible, the God of the Bible versus Allah in the Quran, they are two different, totally different. God in the Bible talks about loving your enemy, doing good to those that hate you and despise you. He doesn't call for you to kill innocent people. He calls you to love people, especially your enemies. Now, obviously, in modern vernacular, people have taken that way out of context and they've used it for LGBT matters and the like. But then again, when you come back to the religion of Islam, it just makes me wonder, why is it that so many Muslims believe in what the Quran says, saying that it's the real words of Allah, their version of God, and their version of God says that he is the deceiver. He is the liar of liars, so to speak. He can beguile so many people. It's amazing, isn't it? And then you have the God of the Bible saying, thou shalt not lie. Is any wonder why this ex-Muslim took a week? But the thing that did it for him was this. Yeah, I would throw up too if I saw or read in the Hadith or the Quran saying that it's okay to assault women. And if it's anything that we have seen in other countries at the moment with how religion or how the Islamic Republic of Iran or in Afghanistan or how Islamic countries treat women, it's like they're slaves. It's like they're nothing. They don't care about abusing or assaulting women at all. It's because that's what their religion condones. It's what Muhammad condones. And they follow Muhammad and they also follow their version of Allah, which happens for me if I am looking at everything that Allah said in the Quran, it leads me to believe that it's more Satan. And I've made several videos now talking about how if I was the devil, then I would be Islam, and Islam is the devil. It's clear as day. And I don't want anything to do with this in Western civilization because it's not compatible. You're seeing so many like Muslims come to Western countries and take over. They're coming to Western countries from their Muslim countries because they're under bondage in their Muslim countries. They're coming here to convert people But more than that, they're really just here to take over. And you're seeing lots of Muslims begin to question, even though they're not allowed to question. I'm surprised that this guy got away with questioning. It's amazing because you've got so many Muslims that are afraid to start questioning, even though they may see issues with the Quran and the Hadith. Two things that they rely on quite heavily, I'll have you know. Two things that I have seen many supposed Muslim scholars reveal to the entire world what it actually is about. And then I'm going, hang on a minute. You're actually part of this death cult? Wow. And yet we've got Western leaders today that want to defend them. You have every right to freedom of religion in a Western country. Okay? I'm all for freedom of religion. What I'm not for is domination, the way they treat women, and then also the way they see us. What I'm not for is Sharia. I don't want anything to do with that, especially in Western civilization. Nothing to do with it. And if you've got a religion that teaches this to young kids, that they are literally not supposed to, not allowed to take Christians, Jews, infidels, white people as their friends, how is that compatible exactly? If you have a violent religion, how is that compatible? Christianity is not violent. That does not mean that it's weak. If you're saying that Christianity is weak, look at some of the stories in the Bible. Look at Jesus, for goodness sake. If you're saying that a weak man went willingly to his death, suffered what no man in human history has suffered before, willingly did that, could have stopped it at any time. He willingly did that. If you're calling that weak, you're the problem. That was, in fact, strong. He knew what he had to endure. He did it for you and I. Do you see Muhammad doing that? Do you see Buddha doing that? Do you see any of the other people in the religions doing that? No. And yet people will say that Christianity is weak because of how we choose to see people. We're not weak. I'm especially not weak. I've got the right values. Thank you very much. I know what is true. This ex-Muslim knew what is true. So why would this ex-Muslim turned Christian decide, oh, if Christianity is weak, to go and become a Christian? He could have stayed in the supposed strong religion. Amazing when you get confronted with the truth, huh? What begins to happen. Anyway, that's enough from me, but you guys take care, be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.